we have ourselves the first map is Bel'Shir Beach again.
Let's go ahead and introduce the players. After you, Mr. Frodan. Oh, I'm sorry. Grandmaster Frodan.
GM Frodan, is that how we say it nowadays?
Grandmaster Frodan.
In the bottom right, we have Hasu from Team Mousesports CC. And he's queued up a lot of probes, indicating he wants to go for a pretty economic-centric opening. Spending his chrono boost very, very early on his probes. In the top left, we have Zerg, but it's actually
Terran
player. So
it's of course Ryung.
It's Ryung from Steam Slayers. And Ryung is awful in TVP. I'm just going to say that straight up. He's known for being terrible in the matchup, but Ryung is not that bad against foreigner Protosses. In fact, his win rate is actually quite the opposite, which is really interesting. It's just that Korean Protosses is the one they struggled with. Now, Andre, what have we been seeing out of Korean Protosses, especially in the metagame PvT-wise?
Well, they've been kind of going towards this Zealot-centric style, where they overdevelop their Zealots. And you love this style as well. It really frees up a ton of room for the gas. You can allocate the gas towards Archons, High Templars, Colossus, those power-hitting AoE units that are able to turn the tide of games and battles very easily. And I like it a lot because it really relies on just like sitting back, doing a little harass here and there, stopping pushes, and then all of a sudden your gas comes out of nowhere and it shows. And you have Colossus and High Templars in your army. And you keep the soccer count a little low, but just with the sheer mass of Zealots that you have, you will be able to stop a lot of stuff.
Some interesting statistics. Hasuobs has played Ryung once. That was like last year in the team arena for IPL. So, and he actually lost to Ryung. So that's what I'm saying. You know, Ryung is known as bad TVP, but he's still more than capable of going against foreign Protoss, as we were saying before. And so Hasu does have that loss. And the only time we've ever seen Hasu play on PvT on Bel'Shir Beach was against Illusion, which he also lost as well. So you know, we'll have to see if Hasuobs can be able to start changing that track record here, especially against Ryung, one of these Terrans that people always forget about. And we see the first Zealot trying to be aggressive. A lot of times Terrans use this to try to pick off some SCVs, also get a little bit of intel on what Terran is doing, but a pretty good job there by Ryung, holding it off. Yeah,
one SCV dies right here. Unfortunate for that SCV, but what was scouted is the command center, which is so important. You have to be careful if your opponent is doing some sort of all-in or not. So seeing the command center, Hasuobs is pretty happy. And off of this, he is just chrono boosting out more probes. He loves to play his macro games.
And macro games have really been the name of the game, just like you were saying in PvT. That's why MVP has just been punishing them nonstop. If you watched, you know, the round of 8 versus Manual, and even his last night matches, just there's lots of opportunities for Protoss who have been playing really greedy and being very vulnerable for pretty long durations of the game. We'll see whether or not Ryung choose to really exploit that, as we've seen Terrans kind of rely more on the timing when Protoss is really vulnerable before their tech kicks in. And we've been seeing Terrans try to really exploit that. For now, we see just a Stalker and a Sentry defend the ramp, and that doesn't really give any information other than the fact that Hasu intends to expand fast, but he already knew that. So.
I want to talk about Hasuobs' build really quickly. He went for a 2 assimilator before getting the Nexus. That enables him to get his tech a lot quicker. You actually see this robotics facility out so fast. Observers will be out so fast because of it. Now, I do want to mention really quickly that this was played before the patch kicked in on the European server. That being said, the observers don't come out super fast. I do believe. Yeah, 40 seconds.
Yes.
So, that being said, I mean, it's a different time, different era. It's not going to change the game too much.
We do see that Hasu is trying to kite as much as he can. The Marines, just a couple getting picked off here and there. Good control thus far. Wow, very good control, making sure not to lose any hull damage. And Hasu, of course, has the observer. Oh, but a good scan and snipe there from Ryung there, and that's a really good thing. Just because not only keeping the observer count low, but forcing Hasu to make another one, so occupying robo time.
Really nicely played. It really cuts into Hasuobs' overall build, in my opinion. But losing so many Marines out here actually cuts so much potential. Right now,
you lost 10 Marines.
Losing all those Marines basically says your medevac drop is now susceptible to some sort of counter push. I can do a push, and your drop won't do crap because you have no units at home. I can go into a base trade. I'm fine with that because I really didn't lose that much.
I hate base trading against Terrans.
Dude, well, a base trade in this position is great because he's lost so little. And not only that, he has such a fast robotics facility. Robotics Bay is inbound, so he will probably do the Squirtle style, which is another great style.
Push.
Yes. Players have kind of geared up, or at least Terrans have really defended hardcore against these fast 3-base gateway styles where you get a super fast high Templar. And to counter that, you need to get a really fast command center. Well, if you get that command center, you're not too strong against any builds like fast Colossus play. And Protoss have realized that metagame shift and switched it around completely. Now, no, we won't see that. Double Forge is going down here.
Well, I know Artosis was talking about this the other day. Double Forge with Colossus is extremely vulnerable just because you're so much gas invested. I mean, look at this. Hasuobs has 2 sentries, 3 zealots. And, of course, if Ryung was going for medevac timings, the time would be right now. Like, as the first Colossus is popping, you have 1 Colossus with 3 zealots, 3 stalkers, and a couple sentries.
Well, here's the thing. You have a couple timings. There's that timing where you hit immediately when your opponent doesn't have the ability to really defend because they've invested so much into the upgrades and all over the place. There's another timing where you can actually double starport, and you know your opponent has invested very heavily into the robotics facility and the Colossus. And you see the Forge, and you just say, okay, I'm going to get 1,000,000 medevacs and Vikings. And once it clear out all your Colossus, well, it doesn't matter the upgrade advantage. You can be 1-1 against my 0-0 or 2-2 against my 1-1. I just have too many units and too many medevacs that you don't do any damage because you don't have AoE.
Ryung sees 2 sentries, and he sees that Protoss is playing really greedy, and he's getting into position here. Now the big thing is that I can't speak. The ramp is extremely wide, so Hasuobs very good that he's not trying to defend it immediately. He's going to try to see if he can just go into good position based off his stalkers coming in from behind. Ryung not really able to get to the Colossus in time. The force fields hit it exactly where it is. Now Thermal Lance is about to finish right now, so that means Hasu will be able to really push back even further, and the scariest moment of Protoss is now all of a sudden over.
Hey, Ferdinand, think how effective that attack would have been if you had 10 more Marines. Those Zealots would have been creamed, man.
Or 1,000,000 medevacs and Vikings, just like you were saying. I was like, Andre, you're really good at math, but 1,000,000 medevacs and Vikings
sounds
a little
excessive,
bit.
Right?
Yeah, I'm like 2 million supply of medevacs and...
Hey, dude. You joke about it, but when the day comes, you'll be like, wow, my Zealots are useless. I can't do anything against 1,000,000 medevacs.
Well, wasn't that the idea? One day people were talking about increasing StarCraft 2 supply to like 300.
That'd be crazy.
That would lag the computers way too much.
Oh my gosh, my computer would be dead.
Hasu does end up finishing +1/+1 and starting a 3rd Nexus, which rightfully so. He really can't die at this point until Hasu gets significant amount of more units. His Viking count is currently at 3, and he's getting 2 more, so he will start to be able to take it out. Now, Andre, what's the exact count of Vikings you want per Colossus?
It's difficult. It's actually dependent on your opponent's stalker count. If you see a very heavy stalker count, then you can, stay around. Well, it depends how many Colossus there are as well. If there are 3 or 4 Colossus and they have very heavy stalker count, you want to eliminate the Colossus at all costs because stalkers are very brittle. The stalkers are only meant there to defend against the Vikings. So in that position, get somewhere around 20.
Jesus.
But, yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
Again, it depends on the stalker count, depends on a lot of situations, but you want to overdo it, and that way it's just stalker zealot sentry against Marines and Marauders. And Marines and Marauders are very efficient against that style. But if it's this type of composition, I would say a good number is like 8 to 10. I think 10 is a little bit excessive, but 8 is very comfortable, and you can remove that. 5 is okay, but it's going to be very dependent. I mean, you can be easily force fielded out, and you just target down those Vikings.
Yeah, and you blank to get in position.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I've heard different Terrans give different opinions. The Muslim was like saying 4 per Colossus is a good rule generally. If there's 3 out, you get 10, 12, somewhere in between then. But now that Ryung has 8, I'm trying to look at it. No, he's got 7. He doesn't really have a high medevac count. It's because immediately he's been trying to prevent the anti-timing where,
yes.
you know, we see Protoss push with 2-3 Colossus, and Ryung is very afraid of that. 2-2 is about to finish as well before the 2-2 of Terran. So that gives another small timing window, although Hasu doesn't have charge. Nonetheless, his army is still pretty intimidating. Especially because his third is up, he only gets extremely strong from this point on.
I think Hasu will actually not use this 2-2 timing. A lot of times he likes to sit back and just get all of his upgrades along with High Templar Storm. He gets the double upgrade just to stay relevant against any upgrade timing attacks. I do like this. He's also sharking around the map, forcing his opponent to play a little bit more safer than he wants to. Now I like this Hasuobs just taking his 5th and 6th gas, going up to Templar Archives, getting charge. He has all the necessary things to defend these pushes. The push for Ryung comes right now with the 2-2 just finishing, so he has equalized upgrades at this point. The problem is he doesn't have the army composition just yet. The Viking count is still a little low. 11 Vikings out, 22 Marauders and 51 Marines. Doesn't have Ghosts yet either. Ghosts are probably one of the more essential units when you get into the 3-base economy.
Yeah, and you definitely have the flexibility to get Ghosts also into your composition,
yes.
But we see +1 air weapons pretty delayed as well. It's about 60 minutes in the game, the fact that you don't have it even finished, and actually might not even be ready for the upcoming battle. As you can see, Hasu has his army completely split. He might try to section off Terran here, but you know that's not what Hasu does. He plays passive. I mean, that's his PvZ style too. Yeah. He waits for everything just to the point where he can't be moved. And Hasu just split. He's so willing to split the map in half and just take you on with the strength of Protoss at max capacity. Storm's about to finish. +3/+3 about halfway done, but Hasu really honestly doesn't need that even upgrade. And looks like we're winding down to the final seconds before the big battle.
Beautiful.
Just kidding.
No, these are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at that Storm.
Yeah.
7 seconds away. He's just waiting for that, and he knows all I have to do is wait 10 seconds, and my army becomes so much more powerful. Here we go, the big engagement. This will not end well for Ryung. He needs to kite back very nicely. The Zealots are actually getting a little bit too far, but the Storm comes up here, gets a nice volley.
I don't know, man. I think the Vikings did a fantastic job. They took out all of the Colossus, not enough support there, and Hasuobs' AoE was reduced significantly. He does have some high Templars left, but Ryung still did a good job in terms of dealing with that too. Now, +3/+3 will finish in a little bit, but Hasu's still going to engage without it. Both armies are still relatively even just because of that AoE, even though Ryung's is slightly higher. He also has a lot of stimmed units that are pretty weak and not a lot of medevacs. We were talking earlier, the medevac count has been pretty low. And he also doesn't have Ghosts. He just started Mobius React, about halfway done. He doesn't have a real answer to the Templar.
Normally when you are going against Colossus styles, you want to make sure you hit before any High Templar timings go.
Oh,
and the main reason is because you have so much supply stocked up in Vikings, you need to start replacing that with Ghosts, with medevacs. It's so important you are actually able to do that. You don't want to be going this, you know, very heavy composition of everything where they have 3 Colossus, 4 High Templars. All of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, well, I can't get too many Ghosts, I can't get too many Vikings. It's a very slippery slope at that point. So you can see definitely Hasuobs is reaping the benefits of this, I would say, timing. He does have 3-3. 3-3 is just about to finish for his opponent though. But, you know, Storm is so powerful at this point, and so are feedbacks. I think Hasuobs is in a great position, and here we go. Man. The Storms are going to start up right here.
One Storm does catch a couple of units in the blink forward from Hasu. Now, keep in mind, these units are still weak from the previous stims. We don't have that many medevacs onto the field. And so Storm, it's as if they already got stormed, essentially. And so Hasuobs, he knows this. He's getting his Colossi back into the field. He's getting a Dark Templar Shrine as well. So he's going to increase his tech path and even further, really try to limit the options. And he's been just harassing this third. Very good job. Just keeping Terran units segregated from the army. Will these Ghosts get the EMPs that they need to get off? That'll be the question for the upcoming battle.
Here's the thing, though. The sentry count is still high. So there's another target where the Ghosts need to actually focus on them because Colossus plus sentries are a really good combination. But now that 3 Colossus are out in the field and there are no Vikings, this is going to be a very easy battle for our Protoss hero over here, Hasuobs. And I love what we're seeing. Dark Templars are actually being sent in all around the place. The third base, the second base, and probably the main as well. Nope, nothing to the main, but still, this is going to do immense damage, and it will give Hasuobs the time to get whatever position he wants to get.
Yep, and he's going to use it to take the Watchtower, one of the scariest points there for Protoss. And it looks like he's going to try to see if he can funnel in here. Now, keep in mind, this is actually not that great spot for Protoss because they're setting themselves to wide ranges of attacks. And you can see the feedbacks on the Ghost immediately. The Ghost trying to snipe the Templar and only lands a little bit of the EMPs on the units. Definitely not catching the Sentries and High Templars, the big ones. And this is a very, very delicate dance. You can see both players very, very cautious with how they engage, because at this point, this is the mark of TVP where if you give up your army, that's it. Like
exactly.
You're going to get overrun completely.
Well, here's the big problem. Ryung has not been set up to deal with this huge Colossus ball. There's no chance for him. It's going to take a wonderful surround to actually do anything about this, but I don't know how he's going to do it. Snipes go off.
Very nice.
Nicely done by Ryung. But how does he deal with these Colossus? 3 Colossus over here, 5 actually inbound, as the 2 Colossus over there in production is just gearing up. But
High Templar wants to feedback something, but not able to do anything. Hasu trying to be very, very meticulous with his control. But you can tell neither player wants to fully cross the bridge. It's just an area that you don't want to do because you open yourself up to a huge potential concave. Yes. And now Ryung is trying to work on this base, pressuring Hasu to make a move defensively. You can see the Ghost taking a lot of damage there, but we get the EMPs off. A lot of units are right there. The Sentries can go for force fields as well. A huge storm on the right side flank of the Terran army. Ryung trying to fall back. He's not utilizing his Ghost that much, but there's still a lot of army here left for both players. But the Colossus, as the story right now, is storms and lasers everywhere are melting the Terran army. Another massive stim. As you can see, Ryung supply dropping extremely low, and the might of Protoss has been exerted. GG.
Very well played by Hasuobs, and he even had 2 additional Colossus back at home. He could have used that as well, but dominating performance, showing how macro style is supposed to be played, and he just outplayed his opponent all around that place. Unit composition was immaculate.
Yep, and a lot of people say like, wow, you know, Hasuobs just fell back and defend and just like macroed up, but he was defending. He was shutting down any drop opportunities, scouting constantly with his observer. His army movement was good that game, just because a lot of times Protoss, when you have that death ball, what's the biggest pitfall? Moving your army out of position, getting dropped or something, and then losing all your tech and then falling back, and then Terran gets advantage and bases economy that way. Hasuobs playing macro style to the point and showing why he is a Protoss to be feared. The game was brought to you by Epson, the people provided projectors for NASL Season 3. Check them out at epson.com. Guys, we'll be back with game number 2 between Ryung and Hasuobs. Don't go anywhere. We'll find out if our Protoss player will be able to finish off our Korean Terran after this break.